So the cool tool I'm going to be presenting on is a website called ohloh. So ohloh is a search engine that indexes the various open source code repositories out there containing free and open source software. A lot of websites like GitHub, SourceForge, Microsoft Codeplex, and any website that's hosting code in a structured repository like Git, Subversion, CVS. ohloh pulls from that and allows you to search through it using their interface. So what you're seeing here is the code search box. It's typical to any kind of other search engine, but it has some cool features unique to software, which I find pretty interesting. So the first thing is search for phrases, which isn't really that interesting, but you can do, let's say I want to search for the phrase public event, and it's going to look for a piece of code that has that phrase in it. And so once this loads, you'll see that it pulls up public event HTML. And the interesting thing is not that it's searched by phrase, but if you look at the code, we can see it highlights in the code itself where it found the words. So we see public event, event, public event, etc. So that's pretty cool. But there's another search query. You could do search for class definitions, which is something pretty specific to software. So if I wanted to search for the class parser, right, I'll do cdef :parser. Right, and what it pulls up is a bunch of various different code with classes parser. So we see some C classes, the .h, and then at C you've got a namespace parser, class parser. So that's really helpful for a programmer if you're trying to search for not just the word parser, but in a very specific context as a class. On the side here, we can see we've got some filters. So let's say we wanted to search for the class parser in the Java language. Well, we'll just go ahead and click right here. It'll refine our search and only show results from Java. We could even look for file extensions, so in case you have a language that has different file extensions, you could search for a .h file as opposed to a .c. We've got support for projects, so let's say we wanted to only look for parsing within OpenJDK 6. We click that, refine our search, so now we're only looking for Java files within the project that have a class parser. So a lot of these query features are pretty unique to code, and they provide a lot of value that a search engine like Google wouldn't have, because obviously there aren't classes and things besides code. So just some other queries that are pretty cool. You've got method definitions. So let me look for insert. So we're going to look for the method insert. So we can look, and we're still with our current filters. We can just get rid of those. And there we see. Got Java, some CS files, etc. We've got a bunch of projects associated with it, a bunch of different language, file extensions, etc. Another things it supports are interface definitions, compound definitions, looks for constructors, unions, types, destructors, fields, a lot of various different programming terms you can run queries for, which is very unique to this search engine. So the other cool thing about ohloh is that it isn't just a web interface. It actually has support for Eclipse and Visual Studio. So I have got a sample Java file here, and once I start declaring a method, Fibonacci, as soon as I hit the parentheses for parameters, it will give me a pop-up with the results for Fibonacci. And I pop over to this web interface, and it's done. It popped up the browser for the Java filter for the phrase Fibonacci. So it's pretty cool that you can get that sort of instant feedback as you're typing a code, that maybe a method you're trying to define has already been solved on an open source project, and you can borrow the implementation from there. So that's it for my cool tool. I hope you like it. I think it's a pretty valuable piece of software for anyone who does software development.